reality without any kind of bloodshed. And same applies to the opposite side. But in the current scenario, if we look at the way the settlements over the years have been created, this displacement is occurring in the Palestinian against the Palestinians in a very systematic way. It comes in waves, and slowly but surely, the space which Palestinians are allowed to exist upon is decreasing. It's decreased decade upon decade. So we should point out, yes, the Palestinians, or there are a large number of Palestinians who ideologically might believe that displacement is a thing or something they want to achieve. But Israel, on the other hand, is executing that in a systematic way. But to the main question, is that plausible? No, it's not plausible. I think both of these sides tried to do that historically as well. And there was a third side where the third group, Christians, again, who are influencers right now, but in history you can check that even they basically tried to do something of the sorts. So it's not occurred and happened. None of the sides have been able to achieve that. At least nobody has been entirely displaced for the last 5,000 years, even if on temporary basis that has occurred. Every time the Jew has come back, the Christian has come back ever since their existence, and same applies to Palestinians in indigenous terms. And since the last 1400 so years, a bit less than that, the Muslims have managed to stay there as well. So I think that is something we need to keep into mind. So that's my initial thoughts on that.
Thank you, Shaji. I think we will move to Khalid Khan, and Khalid, if you can go ahead and then put in your initial thoughts on the displacement proposal, please.
First of all, I have to decide, should I speak Italian or English or Urdu? Because I feel
Uh,
easy to in my language.
yeah, yeah,
But if
Khalid
I
bhai,
speak Urdu, my friends from Turkey, they cannot understand. So I try to
no,
speak
they
in.
won't. Yes, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
actually, yes, I try. Although I'm not fluent, but still I try. Actually, the displacement is not a solution, according to my opinion, because Palestinians are already dispersed all over the world. They are all the neighbor countries. They are already living there, and even small, the number of peoples which they are already in Gaza. Israel want them to throw them away from here and to occupy all this Gaza territory also. Another thing, what the people are thinking in our part of the world where we live in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, I understand their mentality, the way of thinking, how the people are thinking. A lot of people are thinking maybe Israel is wanting to do the same thing what American did with the Red Indians. Ethnic cleansing the problem is finished forever. What Australians did in Australia with Aborigines, the problem solved forever. I think Israel is also trying to the same thing with the Palestinians, as they are bombing on the hospitals, on the civilian population. The two nation or two states within each other can stay, but it should be decided what is the real territory of the Israel. If you see the real map in 1948, what is the boundaries of the Israel, and what are the boundaries right now at this time? If the Gaza, if gone to the Israel, is going to the Israel, so where will go the Palestinians? Where will they stay? Because Egypt is not opening the border, and Jordan is also not accepting them. So what will be the solution? According to me, my opinion, I am idealistic. There is no place for Israel, I think, but the reality is that Israel exists. So it cannot be vanished. We cannot finish Jews. We cannot finish the same way we cannot finish the Muslims. The only pragmatic or the reality is this, that they have to coexist. But coexist or stay with how should I describe? There should be peace, but peace on the basis of justice. A lot of people are saying that the Hamas or Palestinians, they shouldn't have done this, but they say this is our reaction. But Israel say no, we are doing all this in reaction. Who will decide which was the action and which is the reaction? Because this confliction is not only 1 or 2 years old. Since 70 or 80 years, these things happening in Palestine. And the root cause of terrorism in the world is because of this injustice, which is in Israel, in Palestine, or which is in Kashmir, or in the other part of the world. If the world superpower, they resolve these issues, a lot of problem can be resolved. But I don't think they want to resolve these problems. They want to carry out with the same problems, because this is in their interest. So this is my opinion. I don't know if I could describe in a proper way or no. Ji Shaji.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Khalid. And if any panelists have any comments or rebuts, please go ahead. Shaji, firstly, Arun.
I would like to share a few thoughts about it, Furkan bhai. Uh, the thought of displacement, always we're discussing the concept of the Palestinians being displaced. On the other hand, there is also the concept that somehow magically the Muslim nations surrounding Israel will uh, regain their honor somehow and fight back, stand up with their brethren. That is also a possibility. I don't see it in this generation, not with these kind of leaderships, not when people, the leaders of Egypt and Lebanon and Jordan are like this, uh, quite heartless and completely honorless. Uh, but let's suppose the next generation of our leaders do have a salt of honor in them and they stand up and they say, you know what, we're not going to allow this. The displacement can happen on the other side, but practically speaking, right now, uh, when we are saying displacement from the river to the sea, in practical implementation, it's going to be Israel from the river to the sea. And actually, the plan is much larger than that. If we were to look at the concept of the greater Israel, it goes all the way down to the delta of Egypt. It goes up to the region of Hijaz. It is all the way to the borders of Mesopotamia. A lot of countries get into those. So, if we're talking about just displacement, in the long run, it's not going to be just Gaza. It's not going to be West Bank. It's going to further itself into the regions of these surrounding countries. Not in this particular conflict, later on, maybe 5 years later, maybe 10 years later, maybe 20 years later. But if we do not, as a whole Islamic nation, react very solidly, very firmly, that is something that is written in their agenda being the books that they claim to follow, because in reality, when you read the Torah or the Old Testament academically, even the Orthodox Jews say that Jews are not supposed to have a homeland until the Messiah comes, and they believe that the Messiah has not come. So it is the Zionists which think that uh, they are supposed to uh, have a land, the greater Israel, at the end of it. even though we don't